Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SIF eConnects Indonesia 2020. My name is Timothy Tay and I'll be the MC for this afternoon. SIF Connects has been our way of bringing together Singaporeans and our friends overseas to celebrate the power of collaborative networks and friendships that have been fostered through our programs. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. This is our very first Connects on a digital platform organized in collaboration with Indonesia Bright Foundation. We are grateful to still be able to gather online to reconnect with one another despite the challenges and restrictions that we face as a result of the pandemic. The event today will be a panel discussion with esteemed panelists SIF Chairman Ambassador Ong Keng Yong and Governor of West Java, Mr Ridwan Kamil. They will be discussing the digital transformation of people-to-people connectivity, a topic which has become more critical, especially in this current environment. I'm happy to introduce this afternoon's moderators, Mr. Burley and Ms. Dian. Burley is the Research Director at the Institute for Development and Economics and Finance. He is also the Vice Chairman of Indonesia Bright Foundation and an alumnus of the SIF-ASEAN Fellowship Program. He is supported today by Dian, who is a SIF representative in Jakarta and also the Chairman of Indonesia Bright Foundation. I would now like to hand over this session to our moderators. Over to you, moderators, please.
Yeah, thank you. When during our childhood, we are told by parents that it is books that becoming our magic carpet ride, to seek out new places, to understand other civilization. And now, at the age of COVID, where we are stuck at home, work, study, and everything from home, the magic carpet right now is the digital world. It's our mobile phone, it's our laptop, it's our cell phone or tablet. And what better destination to use our magic carpet ride than to seek old friends and conduct collaboration that useful not just for our country, but for the two countries and even for the region. So this panel discussion, we will discuss about face-to-face digital transformation in people-to-people connectivity. So it couldn't be a more suitable topic that to be discussed and more relevant. Okay, and my co-host Dian Masari, the president of Indonesia Bright Foundation, will introduce the esteemed panelists.
Thank you, Mr. Barley Martawardaya. It's been a pleasure for me to assist you in co-moderating this today's SIF eConnects Indonesia 2020. So the theme for today's event is the digital transformation of people-to-people connectivity. And we will be having two esteemed panelists. The first one is Ambassador Ong Keng Yong, the SIF Chairman, and also Mr. Ridwan Kamil, the Governor of West Java. So before I open, I would like to have a bit background on this. So SIF has had a long journey of collaboration with the people of Indonesia. Since 1992, SIF have worked on a wide range of projects, and through these collaborations, fostered understanding between these two communities. COVID-19 has caused everyone to revisit global norms from economic to political to social. And this session explores the accelerated shift to an increasingly digital and hyper-connected world, and what that means for building and sustaining people-to-people relations and encouraging international cooperations. The dialogue provides a platform for Singapore and Indonesia to share their best practices, exchange insights, and enable the collaborations. The first panelist will be Ambassador Ong Keng Yong. He is the SIF Chairman and Executive Deputy Chairman of the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies at the Nanyang Technological University of Singapore. Currently, he is the Ambassador at Large at the Singapore Ministry of Foreign Affairs, non-resident High Commissioners to Pakistan, and non-resident Ambassador to Iran. Mr. Ong was High Commissioner of Singapore to Malaysia from 2011 to 2014. He is also served as a Secretary-General of ASEAN based in Jakarta, Indonesia from January 23 3 to January 28. And the second panelist will be our Governor Ridwan Kamil. He is the governor of West Java province, the most populous province of Indonesia. He was the mayor of Bandung from 2013 to 2018, and he is also a trained architect, and he was an SIF fellow back then in 1994. In 2018, he was featured in article by Fortune magazine, naming him as one of the world's 50 greatest leaders. So just to have a quick start for this, I would like to invite Ambassador Ong Keng Yong, the SIF Chairman, please.
Thank you, Dian. Good afternoon to all of you. I think we have a lot of false starts today. We don't want to take too much time for all the VIPs. I would just want to take this opportunity to say a few broad things about the digitalization experiences that we are now going through. Actually, in many ways, this COVID-19 situation has given us an opportunity to strengthen our digitalization processes in Indonesia, in Singapore, in the whole of ASEAN, and perhaps the rest of the world. So from my experience as a former Secretary-General of ASEAN and having lived in Jakarta for 5 years, I thought that I should try to sketch a little bit quickly the positive picture of ASEAN with regard to digitalization. Yeah, the first thing that I always encourage other people outside of ASEAN when they look at ASEAN country is that we have a growing population. Today, according to some numbers, it could be 660 million or 670 million. Yeah, some guys even say 680 million already. But the most important thing is that our ASEAN population, more than 60%, 60, they are under 35 years old. And almost all these young people are familiar with computers, with IT. And therefore, there is a very good reservoir, a big catchment of our population ready for more digital connection, digital business, and digital living. And among the many interesting opportunities which we offer in ASEAN is in digital business. Right now, we have many millions of people using mobile phone, and a lot of our citizens are all able to connect with one another and engage in many different kinds of digital innovation, which will help their career, their professional career, or if they are business people, yeah, either small company, small micro enterprises, or big companies, they will all be well positioned to do more for the future. So it is good news for us that this disruption caused by COVID-19 has allowed us this opportunity to really allow the ASEAN region as a whole to grow quickly, yeah, and to be even more connected. Of course, there are problems because many of our citizens are still not able to access Wi-Fi, and in the case of the older generation, many of them are not familiar with the digital advantage that we can have in our business and our daily life. But anyway, this is something that we will have to work through, and political leaders like Governor Ridwan Kamil will have to deal with these kind of issues more on the ground, and he will have to convince the citizens across West Java and more of the Indonesian in different parts of the country to go into more digitalization. But for me as a whole, looking at the bigger picture, digital development really will help ASEAN to grow. And right now, Indonesia is a huge economy for ASEAN. It is the largest economy already in ASEAN, and it will become even more substantial going forward. So the next stage is how do we make sure that our people are more and more included in this digital development, and they feel that they can have a piece of the action to continue their digitalized work and digitalized way of living. I will just stop here because I want to let Papa Ridwan Kamil have more time to talk about his experience on the ground and to convey his experience to all of us. So I will stop here for Governor Ridwan Kamil, and maybe later on we can have more time for question and answers, and then we can have more exchange of ideas. So over to you, sir, Papa Kamil.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ong Keng Yong. So I think we can move right away to Mr. Ridwan Kamil to give some and share ideas of how to handling the pandemic and also its relation to connectivity, technology connectivity. Mr. Ridwan Kamil, please.
Thank you for the time. I hope you can hear me fine. I'm in somewhere remote in my province, nearby the lake and mountains. So I'm hoping my voice is okay. Yeah? Excellency Ambassador Ong Keng Yong, Chairman of SIF, also Ms. Jian Tan, Executive Director SIF. My sincere greeting to all of you at SIF. My dear friend, Ambassador Anil Kumar Nayar, Singapore Ambassador to Republic of Indonesia. Also, my dear friend, Pak Suryo Pratomo, Pak Tommy, newly appointed Indonesia Ambassador to the Republic of Singapore. And also, Mas Berli, Mbak Dian, as the moderators, and all the teams that organize this important event. I wish you all well and healthy during this difficult time. First of all, it is really difficult time, especially for a decision maker like me, because every day I'm having so many dilemmas, in making a decision for my people. It's not always makes everybody happy. So I learned that you cannot make everybody happy by your decision. If you want to make everybody happy, you just sell ice cream. That's what Steve Jobs told me, or quotes. First of all, I would like to give you the image of how dynamic and big is West Java. I want to share some slides. West Java is having around 50 million people. I think 10 times of Singapore, almost the same size of South Korea of 51 million people. I'm managing 27 cities, 18 regencies and 9 cities. I also need to manage 5,300 villages. It's so big. It's like a country by the definition of populations. So the similarity between me and the president of South Korea is during COVID is really handling the life, the safety of around 50 million people. That's the similarity between me and the president of South Korea. The difference is my budget is only 1% of his. So you can imagine with 1% budget, I have to be super innovative, super creative in saving the life of my people during the COVID. So it's very, very difficult time. That's why every day I'm fighting to find the more PCR testing equipment, for example. Every day I travel like this to many places to make sure and give encouragement to people, because as you know, COVID is not about pandemic in terms of epidemiology, but also now creating a stressful mental life. The face of leader must show the face of optimism. Yeah, even though when I meet people and I lead people, I have to be the strongest face, the most optimistic face that I have to show to my people. And I think before I continue, I would like to thank you, SIF, because some part of my leadership coming from my SIF experience in Singapore in '94. It's been 26 years ago. It's been a long time. But it's a good investment for Singapore. Yeah. If somebody say something bad about Singapore, I'm the one who defend the Singapore, because I now become the reference for many media. My social media easily to get viral. Yeah. So do not worry for Singaporean people. Something wrong, just call me. I will help you, assist you on your behalf. So I think this is my evaluations of what's happening and changes during and after COVID. We have some observation. Next. There is a screen. First of all, there is a stronger use of digital platform. I think we can agree on this heavily used. That's why Zoom value stock increase rocketing to the roof because of this. And for example, I have a mother, 81 years old, Mr. Ong. Now she is forced to use the digital to have a FaceTime Zoom with all her children, including me. Yeah. Before it's just voice. Now because of the pandemic, limited interaction, everybody, including the elderly, senior citizens, now forced to learn what we call anything digital. Before that, on my slide, I see after 8 months, the stronger sense of solidarity. It's very easy now to ask people to give help. Yeah. So I think IF for me is the face of the solidarity face of Singapore. So I applaud your long time existence on helping humanity all over the world. I think that's one of the best ambassador of Singapore is Singapore International Foundation. So I think the stronger sense of solidarity is there. I got help from Singaporean business person directly to me. I got help by some foundation in Taiwan, for example, helping to support our PPE supply during COVID. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, COVID also give us something stronger, which is solidarity. The third one that I observe is we have down a new resilient economy during COVID. There are 4. Number 1 is agriculture. So I'm very proud that West Java will have so many land to use as an agriculture economy. Second is logistic economy. Third is healthcare economy, and fourth is ICT economy. There are 4, according my observation, still resilient to COVID disruption. Number 4, I see now in people-to-people issue during COVID, there is a stronger sense of personal and communal hygiene. People wash hands like me, for instance, like 12 to 15 times a day. Yeah, everybody wash their hand out from home, coming to home, and so on and so on. So I think this is a good thing, and also people now also learn to eat food very carefully. Yeah, not to eat anything alive animal, but they now limit the situation. And next point is also the apa tadi? Sorry, I lost my slides. Oh, now there is a touchless kind of social life. Yeah. So remember, now people got afraid to touch the floor button on elevator, for example. Yeah, inside elevator. So this is becoming the new change. I think the industry of construction, anything that need to be touched, must adjust and present a new technology, touchless technology to everything we do today. Yeah, so that's more or less some of my observation. Yeah, that what has been changed during the last 8 months, and also the last point I want to is there is a new definition of live, work, and play. Before live, work, and play, we categorize as three different places. But now you can live, also work, also play in one places, which is your secure and personal space. So I think this is more or less 6 changes to my people, at least. But I see this is also happening everywhere around the world. So now I would like to share how I respond to these issues, and also what I have been doing before COVID, which is relevant to this issue. When I started my governorship, I visioned my province as a digital West Java. Yeah, digital West Java means really wants to transform every aspect of life in my province into a digital ecosystem. Something very easy in Singapore, but not very easy in West Java, where you have 5,600 rural and villages. So I have to what we call digital inclusive. This is also my passion. We have a project called Digital Village. I'll tell you later. I'm reforming the government. Yeah, I'm creating the new working unit. We have Jabar West Java Digital Service. It's a group of millennials creating apps for every problems in my province, copying the UK style UK digital service, for example. We have West Java anti-hoax, because by the rise of digital media, the number of fake news also increased. Thousands of fake news happening every year, and so on and so on. I also invest in innovation, like what you have in Jurong, for example. We also embrace the collaborations with universities. We open, I remember, with Ambassador Anil to open the Startup Innovation Center in Bandung, collaboration between the Salim Group and US. Yeah, so that's basically part of the vision of Digital West Java. And also we are now shifting our society, people to people, not only in industry, but also in society. So this is what I've been doing. Next, what we call is digital, Desa Digital. Now every village in my province must have a good Wi-Fi access, must have the Instagram account to promote their village economy and tourism. We have apps to communicate directly with the village chief. I distribute last year 50,000 mobile phones embedded with apps to communicate directly with the governor. So as a governor now, if I want to make public policy, I posted first as a survey to the village chief, and I got result in 1 week whether my policy will be accepted by people or not accepted by people. So this is a good way to test your policy, yeah. And we changed also the way we do business in villages, and also we created a series of command center in the rural area. Contohnya. One of the examples is, for example, we have now yang Oxford ada. Yeah. For example, this is a very beautiful thing. Yeah, this is an English course in the top of the mountain. Yeah, using the technology now, the native speaker in America teach English to my rural children. Yeah, in America, it's live. So in America, nighttime, in Indonesia, daytime. So usually this is a teacher who moonlighting. So daytime they work as whatever the job, but nighttime they come and becoming the English teacher. So this is one of the translation, how I try to increase the education of my people to master English, but using digital, no need to come to the city or urban area, but using the truck connected by digital satellite and good curriculum of English, and directly people across the ocean can teach English and talk directly to my West Java children. So I think this is one of an example that in future you can imagine not only English, yeah, you can tell your Singapore story or whatever using this digital truck, digital class in the form of a big truck. Second, in West Java, we're now using IoT to change the way we do business in rural area. We now feed the fish using mobile phone. Before the fish farmer using hands to feed the fish, yeah. Now they just put the container next to the fish pond, and there is a sensor and mechanical projection tools inside the container connected to mobile phone. So every morning and every evening, now the fish farmer just press mobile phone and the food is fed to the fish. And productivity increase usually 2 times a year. Harvest time now 3 times a year, for example. This is in Indramayu. So you can imagine the IoT also will change the way. And this is very COVID friendly because the fish farmer, they don't need to go out like before. They just stay at home. They can do new lifestyle of doing other things while still keep income from the fish business. Yeah. We have also the digital center in every villages. This digital center is very simple. You put lots of computer connected to e-commerce, so people can sell whatever. Just come to digital center in the rural, and they connected to buy and sell through digital. This is how I help a less digital literate society by inserting the digital center to increase the digital. I remember there is a home business selling hand soap. Yeah, and now they have business to all over Indonesia. Before they door to door only in their villages or nearby villages. Now using the digital center, they can sell directly to the whole Indonesia, maybe to the world, and also maybe to the Singapore. In one village, now during COVID, some village, they increase the income 3 times, yeah, because before COVID, they are prepared to sell their agriculture online. So this is one of the village in the Bandung area, they have their own supermarket online called Alif Mart, and they package like for supermarket, very hygiene, very precise. So during COVID, other villages got affected economically. This village, particularly, they have income 3 times higher because the need to receive this project and product is ready by the digital system. Overall, I think this is what I've been doing. Yeah. So post COVID, I really want to increase the new economy in rural area. So because I said to the millennial, look, if you graduate now, do not always find a big city to find a job. In West Java, after COVID, after graduate, you can come live in the rural area, connected by digital and 4.0, so you can stay away from disease like COVID, but you still make money like you live in the city. So this is my campaign next year, is to ask the fresh graduate of West Java to live in the rural area while doing business like in the urban context. To conclude, I think this is also how I respond that digital is an answer, but they need the political will, because the most expensive things coming from the leader is political will. Yeah, so many leaders in Indonesia. We have 500 local leaders, but not everybody really keen to technology, really has a passionate to digital. So I'm in the minority groups in terms of this. So I'm hoping the West Java experience can become the model how we embrace digital and post-COVID becoming the new normal and creating the new way of life for my people, at least in Indonesia. And I'm happy also our digital village won many awards. Yeah, last time we won Asia Pacific Innovation Award for our digital village because they see digital in the government policy in West Java really changed the way we do things in West Java. We have no more desa tertinggal, ya. Apa bahasa Inggrisnya saya lupa. Tapi there is no more less developed village in West Java in the last 2 years. Before we have like many, yeah, but now we don't have any, yeah. So I think, thank you for listening. Greetings again from me at the remote area of West Java, giving you the sense of optimism. Wish me luck to fight COVID. I'm also the volunteer to get vaccine. So hopefully by December we got the result whether the vaccine testing in West Java will get a good result, so we can give vaccine to the whole Indonesia, and the vaccine will be produced in Bandung. So to make everybody comfortable, I become a volunteer for this COVID testing vaccine because volunteerism, solidarity is part of my value. I learned from SIF that solidarity is very important. That if we cannot united by faith, or if we cannot united by nationality, at least and as a proud alumni of SIF, I will continue to give my best to my people. Also, my regards to all people in Singapore. Remember, they have alumni now, Governor of West Java. Do not forget. And I want still to keep Singapore as #1 investor in my province. Singapore is always the biggest investor, so we want to keep it that way. Thank you very much for the time. Sorry if I take too much time, but my point is very important to give you first-hand experience how COVID affected our situation in West Java. Hatur nuhun, thank you, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Governor Ridwan Kamil, and also Ambassador Ong Keng Yong. It was such a very insightful sharing session, and we also appreciate. And me personally, just cannot believe that you have that digital fish feeding and digital village. It was really a great idea. So we come to the Q&A session. We do have some questions coming in. So I will read the first question. It can answer both by Ambassador Ong Keng Yong and also Governor Ridwan Kamil. How do we ensure that people without access to digital economy or do not have digital skills also benefited from people-to-people interactions? And how can normal citizens like us, not governments, would help? Ambassador Ong, probably you want to answer it first.
Well, first of all, thank you, Governor Ridwan Kamil, for that excellent presentation. We are always very humbled by the effort you have put in and the amount of work you have to undertake to keep up with your people's aspiration and to bring about the necessary transformation for your province. As you have pointed out, West Java is a big place. Singapore is only a small city. We will continue to do whatever we can to bring our two people together. In the digitalization process, I think it is important to always have the people available to help those who are not so yet into the digital world. Yeah, and it is no longer expensive to be digitalized. And so it's a question of how do we organize our government on the ground? How do we connect and collaborate with the business people and those organizations having the necessary infrastructure and the means to introduce computer and other digital form of work and living. So it is therefore the key will be to get more people with the kind of knowledge, with the kind of infrastructure provision to help those not so well endowed. Yeah. In the case of Singapore, we try our best to spread the value of digitalization.
Excuse me, Ambassador Ong Keng Yong, you're muted. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Now you can continue. You were muted, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but the main point I want to make is that we have to help those who are not yet digitalized to get into the digital world. And I think the way to do it is to encourage those who knows digital system, who have been accessing the digital working and living system, to bring in more and more of the people who are not yet digitalized. Governor Ridwan talked about communication with his mother. In my case, my mother also is completely unfamiliar with the computer and digital world. But on a daily basis, we were able to use different web camera and other kind of communication with her. So she is now more accustomed to having a digital setup in her own home. Yeah. So the key message from me is that people who are now capable and having the knowledge to work with the digital system we must encourage them to bring in more and more people who are not yet into the digital system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ong. Probably Mr. Ridwan Kamil want to add something with respect to the questions, like how do we ensure that people without any access to digital technology or don't have any digital skills also benefited from these people-to-people interactions?
Yeah, that question is really relevant to my daily situation. Ridwan, please open the school because we don't have the Wi-Fi. There is a story, a student went up to the trees just to get the signal, for example. Some go to some cemetery because in cemetery for some reason there is a connection better and so on and so on. But also some say, Pak Ridwan, do not open the school because it might become the new cluster of COVID. So you see, it's very tough to answer to this situation today. The central government to full go digital, yeah, for school, for example, really working very well. There is 30% of lives in rural area where there is no connection. So how to answer the situations that our children still need some education, but you don't have the Wi-Fi, the digital connection. It's very difficult. Yeah. Every day I have some sort of feeling guilty on because I cannot really having all solution to this situation. But let me tell you my vision. If you see my digital village center, yeah, tampilin lagi. That's my answer to the area where you don't have the digital level of understanding. Itu yang pusat digital desa. The reason I make this digital center in the village with Tokopedia, for example, because I understand much about digital. So I introduced this center as a learning space for underprivileged village in West Java to learn how to do the digital, at least in the digital business. Yeah. Second, also remember the English course using the truck, digital truck. That's also my solution to underprivileged society that don't have the access to digital. So I think when you have that situation, the role of government is very heavy. Yeah. But you have also to understand West Java comprised of good connection of digital, like in Bandung, in Depok, in many big cities. So I have two conditions. One similar to Singapore, very easy, yeah, no problem. But one is very hard. So I think my answer is this is the role of government to be more emphasizing the budget and also concept to increase the digital access and digital education to the underprivileged society. Another example that I have been doing, this is actually Mr. Ong, I'm copying your SIF methodology. Yeah. So this is the beautiful thing of thing that we have been doing. So I'm creating a fellowship. We call it Village Patriot. Yeah. In our local word, Patriot Desa. So this is a fresh graduate of West Java, trained for 4 months about the value of leadership, about value of entrepreneurship, about value of digital knowledge, about the value of nationalism, so many informants. The graduate of this program now live in the rural area for 2 years. I pay them monthly basis, yeah, with one condition: you have to create one village, one startup. That's my mission. So you can imagine 5,300 villages. At the end of the day, we'll have 5,300 companies set up by these smart militant millennials that graduate from our village patriot. So this is also an investment in the future on how the underprivileged village society, some in the digital access and digital knowledge, will be coming better by involving the voluntarism like SIF, yeah, but live directly in the village area. So I'm very happy many young graduates from West Java applying for this program, and this is one of my proud program combining the voluntarism, combining inclusive economy, and also a digital access and knowledge to rural area. So that's more or less that I can say about the question.
Thank you, Governor West of Java. There's a one can control the COVID new case. The death rate is also low, even the lowest in ASEAN. Can you describe how come the Singaporean, especially youth people, can be so disciplined to obey the health rules? For example, they wear masks, especially I remember when the circuit breaker held. And what's the secret and what can we learn so that Indonesian can also implement the same culture, especially for young people, to against COVID-19 in Indonesia?
Thank you, Dian. Can you hear me?
Clearly, we can hear you.
We hear you fine.
Yes.
Well, I think the most important thing we have to do is messaging. The narrative must be right. Yeah. So it's like what Ridwan Kamil is doing. He, as the #1 man in the province, he goes out and tell people the same message consistently. Do this, it's good for your health. Learn this, it's good for your future. So in the case of our experience in Singapore, our political leaders, as well as the community leaders, they are constantly telling people the necessary information, giving out the knowledge that all our people need to know. In some places, they call it follow the science. Yeah. As you can imagine, many of our citizens, they may not really be technical and scientific about day-to-day activities. So they listen to the community leaders, the senior citizen, or the political leaders. So it's important for us to keep messaging this kind of what we call COVID protocol, this kind of discipline for social distancing, to care for other people, not just for yourself, or to wear the mask, or to wash your hands. Yeah, it is important. So I thought that if we have done anything special in Singapore, it is that we keep on talking about it. Some of our citizens are getting tired of the same message, but then maybe they have heard it. Some other people may not have heard it. So we have to continue talking, and keep the same message out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Ong Keng Yong. We do have a lot of questions, but maybe one more question for Governor of West Java. So this is from from Pitwazia. She was asking a few days ago, Indonesian news reported about Bapak becoming a volunteer for the COVID-19 trial. Could you please share about us your experiences and especially your vaccination plan for West Java? And how will the technology play roles in the distribution of the vaccine in the region? Okay. Over to you, Mr. Governor.
Yeah, thank you, Dian. Many people ask me, Mr. Governor, when is the end of pandemic? That's a very difficult question to answer. I try to rationalize the answer to make everybody comfortable. I said, look, the pandemic will end when the sick person recovered by medicine or some therapy. That's one situation. Second thing is if the healthy person got immune by having a vaccine inside the body. So this is my optimistic note saying, look, the vaccine is near. So let's get discipline of wearing masks, keep social distancing, and also washing your hands. Yeah, it's not very easy, Budian and Mr. Ong, because some part of my society still think of it is a conspiracy, is a business, is so many. They are still in the denial stage. Yeah. So because in COVID, I learned there are three stages of accepting COVID. Number one is denial phase. Yeah, people still not believing of COVID. Second is accepting COVID as a reality, and the third group is the one that already moved on or adjust and having some adaptation to the new normal. So that's my answer to my people, that the end of pandemic, if everybody got immune, at least by some scientific approach called vaccine. So problem is we don't have yet the vaccine. But good news is Indonesia has a company called Biopharma in Bandung, was founded by the Dutch colonial government to produce medicine during colonial time. They have exported more than 20 vaccines before COVID all over the world. I think 70% of polio vaccine coming from Bandung, yeah, worldwide. So we have the capacity of producing 100 million doses of vaccine every year. So that's a good news, yeah. But people still worry about the vaccine. Pak Governor, don't you think it's too soon? Yeah, because we learn vaccine need years to produce. And Pak Governor, do you think this is a Chinese government conspiracy about vaccine coming from China, for example? So many questions, Mr. Ong, that makes the vaccine narrative is not really well received. So in order to make everything smooth, I tell my people, we need to test the vaccine before we produce, and do not worry because the governor himself will become the volunteer. So if something bad happen, I will tell you, and if something's good, I become also the witness to, if you trust the governor, yeah. So by having the governor himself as a volunteer out of 1,600 volunteers, now there is no more provocation or hoax or fake news about vaccine, which is good. Yeah. So I have to come 5 times to the lab. The first visit is to test my body is clear from COVID. Second visit, I get injected a dose of vaccine. Then a third visit after 14 days, I get my second dose of vaccine. And the fourth visit, which I did last 2 weeks ago, my blood is now becoming tested to see whether my my antibody is increasing. Yeah, and the last visit will be in December. It's a final decision whether the COVID vaccine test using my blood and other a good volume of antibody against COVID. So to conclude, if everything goes well, then at the earliest of January 2021, we can produce the vaccine and we can give to the whole people of Indonesia. But the challenge is this vaccine need to be injected twice. So you can imagine, yeah, Indonesia people, 250 million people. You have just to inject the whole nation is one challenge. This one is you need to inject twice of your whole nation. So the issue of logistics, the issue of how many doctors or nurses capable to inject to millions of people in the short period of time, that's really a question. So I suggest to Pak Jokowi in one meeting, Pak President, my humble suggestion would be you have to train the police, the army to becoming the injected volunteer person. Otherwise, you cannot meet the whole nation to be injected by our existing number of nurses and doctors. It takes 2 years to finish just one round. So it's not acceptable. So that's why I always tell people, look, COVID is like a war. During the war, everything is emergency. During the war, you have to fight for your country, giving your money to your country, giving your knowledge, giving your time as a volunteer, and also giving everything. So this is my psychological message to my people, that during emergency like this, we have to be rational. You have to trust the government. You have to follow the orders and everything. Yeah. But as I said, some part of society is still not obeying instruction from the government, because a bit different with Singapore, where your prime minister to the people is very short. Yeah. But in Indonesia, from president to minister to governor to mayors, then to people. So sometimes the message is not really linear and full. Yeah. But again, to conclude by the vaccine, that's the situation. So we are hoping we are succeed and we can have vaccine for everybody and we can move on to the new normal. But I still believe COVID will stay like flu. The difference is while COVID is still here, until the future, we have vaccine and medicine to live with the COVID in the future. So I think that's the situation of vaccine in West Java. Dian, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Governor. I know you were in a rush, but I do have one last question for Chairman Ambassador Ong Keng Yong, which is, can people-to-people relationships be built in a digital realm? And how do you foster ties and trust when people cannot meet in person or sit down for a meal together, for instance? Please, Ambassador Ong Keng Yong.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, it's clear.
Well, yeah, many people tell me that it is not a very easy way to communicate and to make friends by using digital platform. I don't believe that, because I think if you can see each other now on the screen, yeah, and we have some common interests, we make some similar suggestions, as you have heard what Governor Ridwan has said, and we pick up the idea and make sense, we will implement it in our home or in our workplace, and if we have a problem, we can turn on the computer again and communicate with each other and get each other to help. Over time, you basically learn to trust each other. So it is a new way of communication. In the old days, we hold your hand, we feel each other in very close proximity. But now, with the modern technological age, we rely on the computer screen, we rely on the transmission over the digital platform. I think it's just us getting used to this new way of connectivity. It will take a while, but I think we should not say, because I cannot see you or I cannot hear you personally or feel you personally, I cannot conduct business with you. Over time, we will change, because what alternative do we have? With this COVID-19, we can't even talk to our parents or our brothers and sisters or our children if they are from different households. So we just have to learn how to get used to this new gadget. And over time, we should be able to overcome. So that brings me to one last point before we wrap up. Governor Ridwan have also been actively looking at all these activities throughout his province. The most important thing is that we must have the trust of the consumer. If we tell people to go digital, or we say use the computer to communicate or transact business, and if some criminals or some other people who try to make money easily by abusing the system, then we will be facing a lot of more difficulties. So our legal system, our law, our provision to deal with all this data protection, privacy, as well as dealing with the people who break the law over the digital platform must be very strict and must be very clear. Otherwise, we will not gain the trust of our people. The consumer don't want to use this kind of digital platform, then we are in trouble. So that is the next stage of our work. I think in SIF, we have also been talking about how do we now translate some of these important, what we call norms, this kind of rules for what we call digital governance. We will have to think about that as we go forward. That will be stage 2, maybe stage 3. But right now, we just have to trust that our neighbors and our friends will continue to use the digital platform to transact business, to communicate with one another. But simultaneously, we are also looking at how do we strengthen our legal processes so that we can have the protection of the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Ong Keng Yong. So I will be having 1 minute just to sum up everything. I guess that's the end of our panel session right now. So as Ambassador Ong Keng Yong said, the disruption allows us to grow quickly and more connected. And this is also supported by the statement from Governor of West Java, whereby we have to have like new normal, for example, stronger sense of solidarity, new resilient economy. And just to end, international collaboration and strong relationship and effective diplomacy, it's posed by the current pandemic.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the panel discussion. I would once again like to thank everyone for gracing us with your presence at this inaugural SIF eConnects Indonesia 2020, and hope that we are able to further collaborate in future endeavors.